Happy Tuesday, Maxtivity artists. I'm so glad to have you back again. Today we're going to do another project that has to do with nature and spring. And I was thinking it'd be fun to do frogs and newts, amphibians, because I went for a walk the other day at a park near my house and there was a newt crossing sign, which you don't see every day. And I thought, wow, are there really that many newts? And I started looking around and I saw quite a few newts. One was walking right across the path and I was worried that my dog Sparky might eat him, but he just walked right by and didn't even notice. He's kind of old and I don't think his sense of smell is what it used to be. So we're gonna start out today by doing a really easy, fun project with frogs. And then we're going to do something a little more advanced with salamanders or newts, but it's really all pretty easy. I think everybody can join in and follow along. So many of you might remember our rabbit with the fangs, little bunny Foo-Foo. Today we're going to do something similar, but with a frog. So you're going to need paper, just any kind of paper, probably printer paper, and a Sharpie or a pencil or a pen and some colored pencils or crayons to get started. So grab it. So remember, with this project, the first thing we need to do is fold our paper because we want our frog's mouth to open up. So we are going to take our sheet of paper and fold it in half. Just as close as you can get to in half. Then we are going to take this top part and fold it back so that it lines up right on the fold. Top of our paper is lining up with the fold. So I folded it in half and then I folded the top half back in half again. There we go. Now I'm going to take my Sharpie, but if you want to use a pencil because you're thinking you might make a little mistake you want to erase, actually it's better if you use a pencil now that I think about it. Go ahead and use a pencil and we're going to draw kind of an oval or an egg shape right here. Great. Then we're going to put a circle here and a circle here, about the same size. Now we're going to put legs on our frog, and the legs have to be below the fold line. So we're going to put a little bump right there, just a little curved line that comes out kind of like a candy cane and comes down towards the frog, but it's below that fold. We'll do the same thing on this side. Kind of like ears or a candy cane shape. One on each side. Now for his toes, we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, like that. And we'll do the same thing on this side. 1, 2, 3. Like that. Now he's missing his front legs, isn't he? So we're going to go ahead and just put some straight lines right here. Going to make it real easy. This is one leg, this is the other, and then some little fat toes. So you're going to want to erase that part right there. Erase that with your eraser. He's looking pretty froggy. I think we'll put a line here and a line here so it looks like his legs are bent. And now we're going to do his mouth. So you want to put a line for his mouth right above that fold, right along it, above it, and then just a little thin one underneath so that you know where it is when you want to draw the sides of the mouth later. All right, his eyes, he needs some eyelids. We're going to give him some heavy eyelids so he looks kind of like a sleepy frog or a lazy frog. and then put a big curve right there. So it's just a line, a kind of a curved line across, and then a half a circle underneath of it. And I'm gonna color some of that in, but I'm gonna leave a shine spot in the top of his eye. There, great. How about 2 nostrils? And now you can give your frog some spots or warts or whatever you want to give him. I put my spots kind of like this, so they look kind of like cheeks. And maybe put one here and one down here and a little one there. We'll add some more later when we open him up. So that's what he should look like so far. So now I have opened my frog up. Oh my gosh, he's been decapitated. We've got to connect his head to the rest of his body. So I'm going to start right here on this line, and I'm going to connect it all the way down to this line. And I'm going to go pretty straight. So just straight down. I suppose if you wanted to make your frog fatter, you could make it go out more. But I'm just going to go straight down from that line down. Well, that's pretty straight to this one. Now we need to connect the top of his mouth with the bottom of his mouth. So we're going to put our pencil right here and make another line that goes all the way down parallel to this line, all the way down and touches the bottom of his mouth. And we'll do the same thing over here. Now he's got a great big mouth. I made my mouth rather square, but if you wanted to round the corners of your mouth a bit, you could. So I gave my frog a tongue, as you can see. And when you open it up, you see the whole tongue, and when he closes the mouth, it only has a little bit of tongue. If you want to give your frog a tongue, go ahead and do that now. If you don't like the tongue, you don't have to do the tongue. So it's kind of like a little M shape. And then it's like a heart shape, actually. Kind of a long, stretched out heart. And then just put a little line in the middle, like that. So you'll want to erase this line here. You don't want to see that part. And in his mouth, you can do what you want. If you want to give him giant fangs like little bunny foo-foo, you can, but frogs don't have teeth to my knowledge. So I just put flies buzzing around in his mouth. So a circle and a little circle for the head, and then some wings. Circle, little circle, wings. And I don't know, you might want to put, maybe you want to put bees in his mouth. It's up to you. Maybe you want to put a little tiny fly and some big flies. And let's give him some more spots now to tie his head and tie it all together, make it look cohesive. Great. I think we're ready for a lily pad. If you want to give your frog a lily pad, you've got to close him up so that you don't make the water too high. We want the water and the lily pad to be below the folded line. So I'm just going to do kind of a wobbly, wavy line that goes all around the frog and meets in the front. And then maybe put a line here and a line there and a line here. And that will be our lily pad. And then right underneath the fold, we'll put some wavy lines going out horizontally to the side of the page. And a few more little wavy horizontal lines to show that his lily pad is floating on the water. Great. And then if you want to, last of all, you could put some kind of a fly or something buzzing around in the air outside the frog. And now you can go over your pencil lines with Sharpie if you want to, or a black marker, and then you can color your frog with colored pencils or crayons, whatever you have. And you've got your crazy frog with the big mouth. Ribbit, ribbit. So good job on project number 1. Project number 2 is painting a salamander. So let's get going. So for our next project, we're drawing the salamander or newt, whatever you want to call it. I think you can call them either one. We are going to be doing watercolor. If you don't have watercolor, then you can just draw the picture with us and color it with whatever you have. But we're going to draw first, so everybody can do that. And I have watercolor paper today. Yay! I ran out and I didn't have any last week, but now I've got some again. So I'm going to do mine on watercolor paper. And how we're going to start, we're going to have a newt in a pond. So we're going to start out with some basic shapes to help us block in the newt. So you want to draw really, really lightly so you can erase it later. I'm actually using a watercolor pencil, so I can just blend it in with water when I'm done, if I make a mistake. Now I want to think about how much room I have. I want my newt to be swimming in this area, and I want some room for some rocks and some plants. So I don't want my newt to be too big or too tiny. I want him to fill up about half of the page. So I'm going to start here with the tip of his tail, and I'm going to have it come down like a curvy stretched out S, and then come around like this and have kind of a little potato shape or jelly bean shape right there where his head is going to be. So can you do that on your paper? Make kind of a long stretched out S with a little swoop on the end, not round, more stretched out a bit. So now I have a little room at the top and a little room still at the bottom. So that's good. He's taking up maybe more than half the page. All right, I'm going to put another circular shape on my S about here. Those will be the hips of the salamander. So I'm just going to put it like that. That gives me a little bit of a guide to help me get my salamander to be not too skinny. So now I'm going to take this line, this is going to be the belly of my salamander, and I'm going to follow it up to the edge of those hips. And then on the opposite side, I'm going to bring a line that curves down and kind of matches this one. It parallels this one and comes to there. So we have kind of a tubular shape here. The circle here and the oval here. Okay, now I am going to give my salamander a tail that's more than just a stick tail. So I'm going to add a little flesh right there, and then the end of the tails, I think I want it to be a little more curved. Add a little curve there. The end of the tail is very skinny, right? And then it gradually gets thicker as it joins the body of the newt. So I think it's probably going to go right there and meet that line. That's pretty good. Now we're going to put some back legs on our newt. So right here, we're just going to put a little bump coming out. Just like that. Looks like I was going to say a telephone receiver, but you probably don't know what that is. So just this little shape right here next to the circle of the hips, and then two little toes sticking out. And then right across from those hips, we're going to make a curved shape like this. It's just kind of a hook, just comes down. Then we're going to make another shape that goes over that and goes like that. Okay, now coming out from this, another shape that goes like that. So we have this shape coming down and kind of looks like a seagull, doesn't it? And then this one right underneath. It's a little tricky. Now this is his foot, so we need to give his foot some toes. Let's give him 1, 2, 3 little toes. There's his back leg. All right, how about his front leg? Let's do a line that comes, well, maybe 2 lines that come out like that. 2 parallel lines. And then there's his elbow and 2 more lines coming down, and his foot gets, maybe they get a little, his leg gets a little wider at the bottom. And let's give him some little fingers. Salamanders are so cute. I love to see them walking along. They just are so slow, and they remind me of little babies. Okay, and there's his other foot. His other leg is kind of behind him, so it seems strange that it's coming right out of his head, but it's because of the way that he's turned. So the rest of his leg is behind him, we just aren't seeing it. He's swimming in the water. So let's give him some eyes. This eye is going to be kind of bulging out to the side here. So it's not a full circle, but it's almost a full circle. We're just not drawing that bottom half. And then across from that, we are going to put a full circle that's just about the same size. And like our frog, who was kind of lazy or sleepy, we're going to give him some heavy eyelids. So we're going to do a little curved line there and a curved line here. If you put your curved line too far forward, he'll look angry. So you want to keep it kind of back. You don't want it down here, you want it back here. And now let's give him some pupils, some nice big pupils, but go ahead and leave that shiny spot again in the pupils, like we did with our frog. It's looking more like a salamander. He needs a mouth. They have those big mouths. We're gonna give him kind of a little wavy mouth with a little smile. So he looks like a happy salamander. And a little dot here and a little dot here for nostrils. They're very wide apart. I think he's looking pretty good. So now we're going to erase the lines that we don't want. And I can't erase mine because it's watercolor pencil. But you can go ahead and you can erase this circle and just leave that much, leave the side, but you can erase this circle and you can erase this line going through the middle of your salamander. I'm going to draw the rocks and plants around him. So I'm going to put a rock right here that his foot is resting on. Just kind of a little bit flatter on the bottom. And I'm just going to put some random rocks around that are about that same size. So we're going to put rocks in the foreground first. This is our foreground. But then as we go farther back into the background, our rocks are going to get smaller. Oh, I forgot something. We need to put the horizon line. So we're going to put kind of a bumpy horizon line starting right, goes kind of right through his hips. Bumpy horizon line. That shows where the bottom of the pond is. And then we're not going to put the top of the pond. We're just going to have some bubbles going up here and there to show that that's water. And when we watercolor it, we'll use watercolor colors, watery colors, so it looks like water. But if you want, you can put a few little lines going through to show that it's water. And our rocks are going to get smaller as we get farther away to give the illusion of depth to our picture. We want it to seem three-dimensional, like you're looking, even though the paper is just flat. We want the viewer to get the idea that the pond bottom just goes on and recedes into the distance. So we make things bigger that are close and smaller that are far away. Maybe that's enough rocks for now. Now let's do some plants. We're gonna have to do some erasing later, but that's how it goes. So let's do some curvy water plants. And of course, naturally, I'm gonna have to erase all of that stuff that's inside my plant, but I'll do a couple of those. Maybe I'll have one that goes behind the other. Like that. Maybe a little one coming up. You can do your water plants however you want. And maybe a smaller one here so it looks like it's farther away. It's receding into the distance. That's perspective. Look at that. And then maybe a few little weedy things growing here and there if you want. I think I'm happy with mine. So now it's time to take a Sharpie if you want to and trace your salamander and everything that you want. Don't trace the lines that you don't want. Don't trace the mistakes, but trace everything that you want to show. So I've got my brush, I've got some watercolor paints, I've got water, and I have a paper towel because sometimes my brush gets too wet and I want to dab it off. So the first thing I'm going to do is get some water on my brush, and I think I'm going to paint my newt brown because most of the newts I see around here are brown. And I want mine to be that color, but I think really you can make your newt any color you want. So I'm gonna leave his belly a little bit exposed because sometimes they have an orange belly. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of white down there so I can make his belly orange. But his back and his tail and his back legs, I'm gonna make those brown. And his front leg. So I'm just painting wet on dry. My paper is dry and I'm just painting wet paint onto that. I think I want his head, his eyelids to be a little lighter brown so that they don't get lost in the color behind them. So I'm gonna make them a lighter brown. I think I'll make his face a lighter brown so it doesn't get lost in all this stuff behind him. And maybe leave a little chin, a little room on the chin to be orange. I am liking this salamander. He's so cute. Okay, I'm gonna get more water on my brush, clean off the brown paint, and get some orange paint and just put that right on there. Oh, he's looking so nice. And a little bit on his chin, I think. Do you salamanders? I don't really like picking up spiders or snakes, but I don't mind picking up a salamander because they're just so cute. Great, okay. Now I think the next thing I'll do is paint the rocks in my pond. And I think I'm gonna make them just kind of a grayish color. I'm getting a lot of water on my brush and just a little bit of black. And I'm just gonna paint them that color, but of course you can make your pebbles whatever colors you want. We are gonna make our water a real pretty blue and green. And if you wanted to make some of your rocks kind of blue and green too, that would probably look nice. Maybe I should add a little bit of blue to some of my rocks. Yeah, that's kind of fun. So once again, I'm just painting inside each rock with wet watercolor paint. I did not get the paper wet first. I'm painting wet on dry. And when my paint starts to get too thin, I just get a little bit more water and a little bit more paint. I made so many rocks, it's going to take me a while to paint all of these. Just a little dab of paint in those tiny rocks. Little dab of paint. Okay, I think that's all my rocks. And I do like this blue effect on the rocks, so I'm going to go back and put I'm going to get my brush real wet and get a tiny dab of blue and just touch some of my rocks and see what happens inside the wet paint. And it just leaves a little bit of interesting color. Maybe I'll get a little purple and touch some of my rocks with a little bit of purple and just let it blend in on its own. I like that. What did you do with your rocks? Something fun, I hope. Now I'm going to make the plants green, and I have lots of colors here to choose from. I'm going to choose this green first. I'm just going to, ooh, that's a very blue green, isn't it? I did not erase my watercolor pencil marks because I thought they would disappear when I watercolored them, but they're appearing very well, mostly. I think I'll get a different green for the next one, just for variety. It's kind of fun to have more than one color of green. Usually plants look different shades of green depending on how the light is shining on them. So the same plant might look different. Each leaf might look different depending on how the sun is shining. And then I'll take a light green and do these back here. Colors tend to be a little more subdued and a little lighter in the distance. So I'm going to make those colors in the distance a little lighter. Ooh, we are making good progress. I haven't decided with this ground behind my rocks. I suppose I could have just painted the whole thing gray like the rocks. Maybe I'll leave it white. But I'm going to paint this background part watery. So I'm going to get it all wet with a bigger brush. I'm going to find a brush. Here's a bigger brush. See, that's the one I used before. Now I'm going to use this one. I'm going to get this wet, and I'm just going to paint with just water, but I'm going to be real careful not to get too close to my salamander or my plants that are sticking up, because I don't want them to blend in. I don't want those colors to bleed into the rest of my picture. So I'm going to stay a little bit away from my salamander and a little bit away from my plants. But I'm going to paint with water, just painting with water around and painting around over here, not getting too close, because I'm going to do wet on wet so that it looks really watery. That's how you get a real watery effect. Be a little bit in there. So once I've painted that all with water, I'm going to get some blue, and I'm just going to brush a little bit on and look at how wet that is. So I'm going to blend that around, and it just spreads real easy. I don't need it to be real dark. In fact, I kind of want it to be light so I can add some other colors in too. Now I used blue. Now I'm going to get some purple. I'm going to put a little purple there and a little purple here, maybe a little down here. And some light green. I think I'm going to spread that purple out of it. That's a little green here and there. That turned kind of black, didn't it? I don't think I should have mixed the purple and the green together. I think I better add some green by itself here and there. And maybe spread my blue around just a little bit more. I'm going to spread it just a little, just kind of dab at it. Maybe try to get a little closer to my salamander without getting too close. Just real close as I can without brushing over top of him. See how that's starting to look watery? Maybe I could even kind of get a little green on my brush and make a line or two, and it'll look like there's water plants in the distance, but they're really faded because there's water in between. I really don't like what I did up here. That did not work. Sometimes I decided just to leave the sandy bottom white because it looks kind of like a sandy bottom of a pond. And it would be difficult to paint all around all the rocks and the grass without getting it all mixed together. And I think that looks great. So I hope that you are happy with your salamander painting and that you had fun today. And I hope you have a great week and enjoy nature. Get outside. Maybe you'll see a salamander or a frog. Bye.
I hope that video inspired you to be creative. Maxtivity is a nonprofit whose mission is to provide space, tools, supplies, education, and classes for people to help maximize their creativity. If that was valuable to you and you want to continue to support art, community, a space to be creative for all, then you can go ahead and make a donation. You can visit our website at maxtivitycreative.space and give under donate and share. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram under iMaxtivity. We have more videos under Maxtivity here on YouTube, and I just appreciate anything that you can do to engage families, community, and children in exploring more opportunities to be creative. Thank you.